making executive pastors squirm is kind of a hobby. Like, the church should not have hired an 18-year-old to run a youth ministry where there were students that were older than me. Hey, I was able to catch the last half of your talk last week. We need to talk. Like, oh, now, just to be clear, this doesn't bother me, I think.
This guy's an escape room enthusiast.
Woo!
Well, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the fourth and perhaps final edition of Meet the Team. You never really know. Apparently, there's a couple of team members that we haven't yet interviewed, I've heard. We'll see. They're busy. But today I'm here with none other than the social media phenomenon, Josh Boldman himself. Josh, how are you doing this morning?
Now that I know that I'm a social media phenomenon, I am doing phenomenon
in the youth ministry.
That's true. Okay, no,
world of Facebook groups, specifically the DYM edition.
That is surprising. So I'm not like winning like a Webby or anything.
No.
Over. Okay, that's fair.
I don't even know what that is.
I didn't know. Okay, that's fair.
But you are keeping executive pastors honest with their lack of salary ranges, and I, for one, appreciate that. As the guy who never knows when in the interview cycle to ask, when is it okay to start talking about the salary range? So, anyway.
I'm here to help. And I'm just gonna be honest, as someone who is a youth ministry veteran and someone who loves youth pastors more than like anything, executive pastors squirm is kind of a hobby.
Okay, well, this is totally off script, but this is just kind of how it is whenever you and I do one of these. So, what is the most contentious, like remark? No names, right? No identifiers. Of course, what's the rudest thing you've gotten back to your? Your comment about the salary thing.
I've gotten a lot of it's a calling, so salary shouldn't matter.
Wow.
I've gotten a lot of it's competitive, like the salary's competitive, just trust me. And it's like, oh, hey, guess what? No. And then there's a lot, and this is what I do actually feel kind of bad about is when people are like, hey, I'm just posting this because my executive pastor told me to, or my senior pastor
I don't actually know either.
I don't know. They're like, the people posting, they're like, I don't even know what I make. So it's, there's
Dude, the last thing before we actually get on track, I was in my first job, I was looking for a new job for the first time, and I got a call from a guy. It was a relatively large church. I mean, if I said the name, you guys would know. And he said, "How can I ask you how much you make now?" Which I appreciated the upfront candor. I was like, "Wow."
Yeah.
And then I said, and I quote, "I actually don't know." And like, I'll just be honest. Back then, my wife had a job. We didn't really have kids. I think we just had like our first. And so like expenses were just what they were. Like it was just kind of this amorphous existence for us. And he said, "You know, Nick, I think you might be the first person that I've ever asked what they make and they didn't know the answer to it." And looking back now at myself now, I'm like, that is wild that I actually said that.
And that you didn't even just like make up a number. Like you just admitted it.
Well, I told him, I was like, I know what I started at, but I'm not there anymore, but I don't know what it's all like. Like it was, because they'll do like percent raises and then that gives you like a weird like number. And I'm like, I don't know, it's around this, I think. So anyway, so let's get on track. And Josh, in 3 minutes or less, and the screen is going to be grading you on your ability to do this. This is an interview question I do, by the way, because I want to see how brief people can actually make themselves. So in 3 minutes or less, give us a quick flyover. Like, what is your journey into ministry? Pre-DYM, but what's your journey into just ministry in general?
Okay. All right. Is the clock started?
And now.
Okay. All right, good. So I felt called into ministry when I was in high school. And so I went to Bible college, as one does. And my third week of classes, I got a call from a senior pastor at a church that was 80 miles away from my college. And he was like, "Hey, we're looking for a youth pastor, and somebody recommended you. Would you be interested? And I was like, heck yes, I would be. And I didn't realize that 80 miles is really far, right? And so I'm 18, and so at that point, like, I got the job. It was part-time. I was spending more in gas than I was making, which was fun. But I always tell people that it was a mistake on both of our parts. Like, the church should not have hired an 18-year-old to run a youth ministry where there were students that were older than me. But then I should also probably not have accepted said job. But I did, I met my wife at that church, so it worked out.
Feels like it might have worked out.
Yeah, it was all good. So then, I got a lot of, through that, like, so a lot of opportunities to work with the denomination I was a part of, with our, like, state and national ministries, coaching other youth pastors. Like, it was one of those things where I was, like, really torn between, like, hey, is my jam, like, working with students, or is it working with volunteers, or is it this other, like, at that point, like, non-existent, thing of, like, what does it look like to coach and train other youth workers? And so I was really trying, like, to figure that whole thing out, and all at the same time feeling like I never had anyone who was advocating for me as a youth pastor. So, like, you go into those salary conversations when you're like, you're part-time and you're making nothing, and you're like, hey, I'd like to be full-time, and they're like, well, what would you like to do, in addition to what you're doing now? It's like, well, I'm already putting in 50 hours a week as a part-time person. I don't know, so, but no, I didn't have anyone to ever ask those questions to and to talk to about that. So I, fast forward a bit, I always felt like, education wise, and I know this is where me and honestly, like, a lot of youth ministry people differ, but I always felt like I never wanted to feel called to something that I should have been preparing for. And so, like, right out of my undergrad, like maybe 2 or 3 years later, I went and started going after a master's in divinity, which is a lot, and a weird name for a degree, to be honest. It was like, hey, you know what you are? You're the master of divinity, which sounds like a He-Man kind of, like.
Also, you're not the master of divinity.
No, it's literally like, hey, guess what? You're an expert in Jesus, and it's like, that feels wrong. It feels wrong on a lot of levels.
Yeah.
So then kept going, so ultimately I've been in youth ministry for 20 years. Just about a year and a half ago, made the jump over to the DYM team, and what I've loved so far is that, like, I feel like I, in some ways, stepped out of youth ministry, but actually I feel like I've stepped into more of it than ever before, and I get to, like, I feel like I'm actually living out my calling now in a way that I didn't even know was possible, and so, dude, I'm loving it. Yeah, I'm just having a blast. Where am I at on time? Did I do it? Did I miss it?
I don't know.
I missed it.
That's the beauty of editing. Man. The clock will flame you later.
Oh,
but it's okay.
I am assuming I got that poorly. But hey, it's all good. It's
interesting. It's interesting. You want to know more, reach out. And I'm sure, you can talk to Josh for 2 hours about it.
Oh, yeah, no, there's lots of conversation in that. Yeah.
So then, as you started to allude to, but realized that you stopped yourself shy, how did you end up on staff then at DYM? So you went from, like, just regular working in the church, vocational ministry, boots on the ground, all the, we're all there, we've all been there, some of us are still in it, like, and now you're on staff at Download Youth Ministry, which for some people feels like the, like, youth ministry entity and, like, organization of the thing, like, of our day. So, like,
it is.
It's kind of cool. Like, how does one end up there?
How does one do this? Okay, so my journey was a little, I've been an author with DYM for probably, okay, I'm going to be real honest with you. Every time I say a number on this, I say a different number because I don't know what it is. But I'm going to say 10 years. That's probably been about 10 years I've been an author with DYM. Doing games mostly, doing some lessons that, like, 4 people have purchased, and which is
no
fun.
one buys the lessons.
They
no one buys
don't.
the lessons.
They don't.
They're probably great lessons.
No, they're not. And then, I mean, mine. I'm not talking about like all of them. I'm just talking about my personal. But then, you know, so when I was really starting to feel like, hey, maybe there's, you know, like I said, kind of chasing after this idea of what does it look like to really be resourcing and training and coaching other youth workers, kind of standing in the gap for them when it comes to stuff like salary and stuff like that. Like, I was like, I think there might be a place at DYM for that, but I just don't even know if that position exists. So I called up my buddies at DYM, and I'm like, hey, do you
Long
guys
shot here, yeah.
Like, yeah, it was too. I was like, not for nothing, but do you guys have anything? And they were like, hey, someone on our team is going on maternity leave. And all right, now my guess is that if you have had this conversation with anyone else already on our team,
this is the fourth. That's 4 for 4 now. That's 4 for 4.
This is literally how everyone joins our team. Is someone goes on maternity leave, and so they're like, well.
So
Josh,
is anyone expecting, or because that's what you're saying is there may be an opening in the near future
I cannot tell you how many times in our team meetings, like someone will say, "Ooh, I have something exciting to tell everybody," and we're like, "Oh no!" Like,
please don't be pregnant.
It's like, "Oh no!" And that's like the first. They're like, "Don't worry, no, not pregnant." But yeah. So I basically was like, they told me, "Hey, we've got 90 to 120 some odd days.
Mm-hmm.
Are you in?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And then the goal during that time was to make myself as indispensable as possible. It's like, I dare them to fire me, although please don't fire me.
So apparently mission accomplished,
yeah,
right?
Mission accomplished. Yeah, it worked out really well. I got in right at the right time when co-leader was taking off, when Sidekick was really, you know, like right off, or the Sidekick beta was really just kind of getting started and trying to figure that out. So I got to work on some really, really cool projects over the course of this couple of months. And when it came to the end of it, it was definitely one of those, like, each day. I don't even know. It feels like almost like a movie where, like, every day I go in and I'm like, do I still work here? Like, is my login gonna still work? Can I do that? And I mean, and I live in Chicago, so like, I mean, you know, most of the teams in you know, Orange County and California, and so like it was one of those things that's like, is that okay? And they're like, yeah, it's fine, you know. And so yeah, so that kind of brings us to today.
Yeah,
I still work here. Like, that is
still in Chicago.
Yeah, still in Chicago. Yeah,
as evidenced by the hoodie. You always have a hoodie on.
Always have a hoodie.
It's always cold in Chicago.
It's so cold, man. We had there's Fool's Spring.
Yeah.
Which is like, you know, the first like time that it gets warm, and we already had that. And then it got warm yesterday, and we call that the Spring of Despair, because it is going to be cold again. It's like cold
I used to live
again.
in Chicago, not for very long, so I can relate. But I think today in Texas might be a high of 82.
Wow, that's something I don't think I can punch you in over the internet.
Well,
but if I could.
You live in Chicago. That's one of the reasons why you can't punch me.
That'll do.
All right, so
cool.
What's one thing, Josh, beyond your youth ministry experience, beyond your DYM role, beyond the persona of who you are on Facebook and the salary guy, what's one thing you wish more youth workers, or just people maybe in general, knew about you? Like, what a fun fact? Okay. It could be serious. It could be silly. Like,
okay. You know. So, all right. So this is kind of a serious, but it plays out in a funny. It's like, all right. So I enjoy solving problems or puzzles or whatever. Like, it's like if something is not working, like, that to me is like, okay, I mean, it's the worst when something doesn't work right. I mean, we've all been there, right, on Wednesday night, and you're like, hey, check out this video, and then it just like, it doesn't.
That happened at our winter retreat.
Oh my gosh, it's the worst. But I love that kind of thing, because it gives me something to like try and figure out. So, but the way that this has played out is, I think in my entire life, I want to say I have gone to 25 different escape rooms.
Dang.
And I have never not made it out on time.
Nice.
Which I feel like is both impressive and sad. Like, it's one of those things, like, you don't
mostly impressive.
You don't lead with it when you're like, I mean, my wife and I always talk about how grateful we are that we met before dating apps, because like that would have been something I would have led with. and she'd have been like, next.
This guy's nuts. Yeah.
Like, we're not doing this.
This guy's an escape room enthusiast. Woo! Well, that's fascinating. Josh, we are now going to head into a draft. Okay. And if you don't know how it works, you will pick something, I will pick something. And really the only stipulation, is that we can't pick the same thing, right? Think like fantasy football. Like Christian McCaffrey can only go once.
Right.
And that's it. And so, but in this particular one, we're not drafting fantasy football players. We're not drafting even anything sports related. We're drafting phrases that you don't want to hear from your senior pastor. And you know what? Because you are more tenured, I'm going to let you go first.
Okay, all right, here's one that I actually got once. It was, hey, I was able to catch the last half of your talk last week. We need to talk.
Oh.
Like, oh no. So
now, okay, here's my question.
Yeah.
Did he say we need to talk? Like, just to be clear, like need, not we should or let's.
It was need. Yeah.
Okay. Are you in a safe enough space to elaborate on the issues that he took with?
Look, I'm just gonna say it, right? So I plan out, like, anytime I teach, right? I know where I'm starting, I know where I'm ending, I know all the points along the way. Like, I got it laid out. It is in my brain. I will practice this 1,000 times.
Yeah.
But when I get on stage, inevitably I will say one thing that I did not intend to say. But here's my whole philosophy is like, because the older I get, I know I'm not always going to be funny to students, right? I know it. Like, it's just, that's fine. But if I can't be funny to students, you know who I am going to be funny to? Me. So sometimes I'll say something. And it's
students
like,
are a tough crowd, man. Students are a tough crowd. They don't even know what's funny.
Yep.
So, okay, nice. Yeah, I've done that before where I've like said something. I'm like, I didn't like mean exactly like that, but it is what it is. The words that came out of my mouth, because public speaking is hard, and sometimes you end up in what I call a verbal cul-de-sac, and you're like, I gotta get out of this.
Gotta get out of here. Have you ever mispronounced something like in a horrible way?
No, not to go virally. So like, pitching tense or anything like that. Yeah,
not that guy.
That poor guy.
There was one time that I was teaching where Jesus is talking to the prostitutes and tax collectors.
Yeah.
And this is, I swear to you, this is 20 years ago, but this is so like core memory for me.
Yeah.
That instead of prostitutes and tax collectors, I said prostitutes and tax collectors, and it cracked me up. Like, I could not continue. I was just like, why is it funny?
Hey, let's just pray. You guys go small group.
We're done.
You can figure it out. Everything else I'm gonna say is from the Bible. You got one.
You could literally call my wife right now and say, what's the dumbest thing Josh ever said from the stage? And she would, without missing a beat, say prostitutes and tax collectors.
Okay, all right, my pick. Here we go. Right. It's in the same vein, and now that we're doing this, I'm like, I feel like most of these are gonna land in a similar camp.
Sure.
Mine was, again, I need to talk to you, but like, here's how I went down. So I'm gonna say, call me when you get this. So no. I was at summer camp, and I was in a tin building that didn't have cell service inside the building. And I was in there for our whole evening session, and like, this wasn't just like a generate or a lift or any like camp that is like kind of pre-done. Like, it was mine. Yep. And so like everything on the stage I vetted, everything. And so the senior pastor got some intel of what happened and wasn't happy and said, call me when you get this. And by the time I got that text, like, all of everything had already like happened. Like,
oh yeah.
Like, I had the conversation with the leader that had left to call and talk to the senior pastor, and he caught me before I ever left the building.
But you have to have it all.
And so then I leave the building, and I'm like, oh, I promise you I wasn't leaving you on red. But at that point, it was like, it was damage control. So that'll be my number one. And that's from a traumatic experience. That was not a good night.
Okay, I got one. The conversation started, as you know, my twins are graduating 5th grade this year.
That's
like, oh no, the senior pastor's twins are going to be in youth group. Like, oh no, what have I done? Why did I take a job where the senior pastor had kids in upper elementary? That's terrible.
You're saddled for 7 years. And if he has younger, it's
and not just a kid, twins.
Yeah, twins.
Like, come on.
Okay. All right, my number 2. Again, this one's summer camp related. Different church, different senior pastor. And I'm on my way, and I'm with like my worship leader. I'm with our like main sound guy. All the things we'd already like talked about this. I thought in my earlier years, I may not have been as clear on communication. I may have been a little more vague, hoping that my vagueness would allow me to just like skirt by some things. And many of these are a result of my poor communication, but the text I get was, "You took the new soundboard with you to camp? ? ! ! ! ! ! ! ! ! ! !
Which, in fact, did you?
Oh, yeah. And my worship leader and the tech guy, like, they're all like, yeah, it should be fine. We'll get a road case. And I was like, so you guys are okay with us taking this? And it's like a compact X32, like it's meant to like travel, and they're like it's meant to travel. Yep. 100%. And my response was like, are we really gonna let it sit at home and collect dust as opposed to provide good ministry for our teenagers?
Right.
And thankfully he was cool with it. He was like, no, I agree. He's like, I just would have loved to have had that run by us because we just bought it last month.
I mean, but that's the beauty of the X32, right? It was half. Like, or a third the price of any other board, and it was portable. It was like, come on, I'm just using it for what it was advertised to be used for.
So I'm on the bus like with all the leaders, and we're like crafting responses. Say this, say the dust thing. Like, I don't know if that helped me or hurt me, but all right. So third pick.
This is really timely considering, and this, please don't hear this as a political statement, but given what is going on in the world right now, or in the United States right now, I got an email saying, hey, I'm meeting with the board tonight. Can you send me 5 things that you've accomplished this week?
Oh, geez.
Oh, it was brutal. I was like,
that does bring some shades of current events.
Yeah, a little bit.
Sure.
There's
no doubt. Yeah,
I don't. Could be anything, but yeah, it was that was not fun.
Yeah. All right. So, man, all these are just like literally coming back to me. These aren't like these aren't general things. These are all for you and me, very specific things. So it's another call me right now. And in this particular case, it was. I was building a stage. Our youth room didn't have a stage. And so I literally bought a 2x4, like one off the ground, and then laid plywood on it. I'd never done anything construction-y in my life. And I was like, this can't be hard.
No. Easy.
But I built 2, like, so plywood, so however long those suckers are together outside. And then I was going to bring it.
Wait, do you know how long plywood is?
Right now, off the top of my head, no way. Oh, it's 8 feet.
It's 8. Okay.
Yeah. So I made a.
Just checking.
Yeah, I'm not in construction on a regular basis, but
gotcha.
So it's 8 feet, and I put 2 of them together, 16 feet.
There you go.
And I had to bring them in and down like a half flight of stairs, and then turn a really tight corner, and like there's no way I was gonna make that, but I was building it, and this one, in my defense, I had gotten permission. But then the guy, like the volunteer lawn mowing guy, was there that day, and he saw what I was doing, and he called the senior pastor, and then the senior pastor called me and was like, I said you could do it, but you needed to do it inside because we just finished the lobby, and the wood trim on the rails is brand new, and it was like apparently the same stuff they used in the tabernacle, and so it was really valuable. and I couldn't. I had to disassemble.
Yeah,
and take inside and then reassemble.
Wow. And, I'm not sure which aisle at Lowe's you get that wood from, but that's really important stuff, man.
It was pretty important stuff. That was not a good one.
So. Okay, so I got one that was a senior pastor sit me down and he said, "Now, just to be clear, this doesn't bother me, but
yes." That's a good one.
So I was in college, and it was my first job. Like I said, at a church 80 miles away. They weren't paying me; they were paying for part of my gas. Just keep that in mind, right?
Right.
And it was a very small but fairly affluent church, and
okay.
I was not fluent. I was in college.
You're in college, and you're not making a profit on this job.
Yeah, I mean, which let's call it what it is. Youth ministry should be a profit-making endeavor, but mine it was not
backwards.
You know? No.
Like at least not backwards.
So I was in Florida, right? So I literally, this is not an exaggeration, did not own an actual pair of shoes. I only had flip-flops. Like that was it.
Yeah.
And that was it. And so on Sunday mornings, I would wear flip-flops. And so like I was the youth pastor, but then the worship pastor quit, and they were like, "Hey, can you step in as the worship pastor for a while?" I'm like, I mean, I'll do it, but that might be a mistake on y'all's part. I don't know. But so I show up wearing flip-flops, and I'm telling you, they lost their minds. And I was like, "Hey guys, I don't own shoes." And they just couldn't
wrap their mind around it. Yeah.
But be clear, it did not bother the senior pastor.
That phrase is such a horrible phrase. I wish you wouldn't have said that, because I have a story like that too, but I can't take it. Okay, my next one is, I don't remember exactly how I phrased it, but essentially he said, "You dress like a kid." And I think he probably said, "It doesn't bother me."
Right.
Similar, yeah. Right? But he basically was like, if you would like to be taken more seriously, you should reconsider your standards, essentially. I'd wear hats a lot. I'd wear them backwards. And I was like, early 20s, just gotten married. And like, you know what, bro? I am a kid. And I mean, it was nice because he wanted me to be a higher up in people's like minds or whatever. And so he was like trying to look out for me a little bit. And we were in a pretty, we were in a military community. So like that type of stuff mattered. And I carry this streak of like, I don't care.
I don't care.
And so I continued to not care. But he's like, "You dress like a kid. And you should consider stopping." And so what's funny, to troll him, when I got ordained, and then I think I got ordained and moved to full time all right around the same time. So I can't remember which one was which, but the very next day, so I think it's actually after my ordination service, the very next day on Monday, I walked in full suit.
I did the opposite. So when I graduated college, I did that barefoot. Just because they were like, "Wear shoes." I was like, no.
You know the irony though of like me wearing a suit to the office the next day? It was me and him and a part-time secretary. So it was literally like a bit for nobody, but I did the.
Oh, that's so good. Dude,
all right, man.
Is there time for one more or no?
Yeah, fifth pick right here.
This is the last one. All right, this is so good. So my wife and I, like I said, we met at this church, but we met and were married in less than a year. Okay, so it was so we, we dated for like 3 months, engaged for 6 months, married. And so the pastor of the church was the one that did the ceremony, but he also wanted to do premarital counseling, right? And so I swear to you, when we sit down for the very first premarital counseling session, he looks at us and he goes, "So, whose idea was this?"
Was it the speed thing he was talking about?
I don't know. It was like he was insinuating that my wife had talked me into this.
Wow, that's crazy.
It was brutal, dude. And it was just like, mine and ours. Like, we talk together with each other about big decisions.
That's hilarious.
Solitude was brutal.
Weird question.
Yeah.
People, man.
Whose idea was this?
All right, here's my fifth. You ready?
All right.
And it's probably sneaky. Probably could have been higher. Probably might have even been like a first round pick. But I don't know a lot of people who have run into this situation or heard these exact words. And the phrase goes, and I quote, "Hey, we love having you on our staff, but we have run out of money to pay you."
Yeah, we love you, but
yeah. Well, they did like a special offering for my position. Oh. And but
we're not willing to do a second one. Is that
exactly? I mean, it was like a multiple hour conversation, but essentially like we did it once, and we don't feel like it's the wisest use of our finances again, because of our current financial position as a church. And so I was like, okay, so like low key, you're just saying you don't like me enough
right?
to have me.
Is that fine?
Yeah. Yeah. Can we just we've run out of money to pay you. Which is my favorite, one of my favorite lines.
Wow. Brutal.
So
brutal.
All right, listen, if you're watching, you got to let us know down below whose list was better. My list
and why was it
Boldman's
mine?
List.
Like that's the
But listen, between the two of us, like the principle is there's some doozies in there.
Oh my gosh. Like, I'd love to hear what someone else, like anyone, if you have one that can top it, like what was yours?
Yes. Whose list won, and what's your number one doozy?
Oh yeah.
Because we all encapsulated is this thing we all hate to hear from a senior pastor. We need to talk, or let's meet, or call me. Like the urgent, like you're coming to the principal's office moment, and we've all had those. So
I was to say those are 5 that I remember. The number of times my wife will be like, "Hey, do you remember when this guy said this?" And I'm like,
"You're like, oh yeah.
No, I blocked all of."
Or
that out.
It's trauma block.
No, I have been through enough counseling to know that was not worth remembering.
And this little exercise, going in after the first one, I was like, I actually don't remember. And then they all started flooding back. And I was like, oh, yeah, that was a weird one. All right. So are you ready?
Yes.
Here's what we're going to do.
Okay.
We are going to play a little game called 7 Questions.
All right.
So in my head, I'm thinking of something that is in most youth workers' offices. And you have 7 questions to whittle that down, play detective, and try and figure out what exactly it is that I am thinking of. So, whenever you're ready, take it away.
All right. First question is it in your office at your church?
It is. It is, yes.
Second question, does it belong to you?
That's a good question. I don't know how much it's going to help you, but yes. So you mean, is it owned by the church or is it owned by me?
Yes. Yeah.
The particular thing I'm thinking of, I'm pretty sure is owned by me. But when you know what I'm thinking of, you're going to realize just how difficult an answer to that question is because I sort of lose track.
All right. Okay.
I don't know if all that commentary helps or hurts.
Okay. Is it, let's see. Is it something that if a student walked into your office, they would contemplate stealing?
Oh, most definitely.
Okay.
Okay. Ask to when they come in.
Okay. Okay. Is it a consumable product?
As in it goes away and comes back?
Yes.
No.
Was that 4? It's 4. I got 3 more. All right.
You got 3 more, and then your guess.
Okay. All right. Is it something that is crucial to the job? Like as a youth pastor, you're like, oh, I actually need this to be able to do my job, or does it make doing the job easier? Maybe that's.
You're gonna hate this. So, yes. If I don't have this thing, it doesn't allow me to have what I need in some other areas to really do my job. Like this is a linchpin item.
Okay.
Like this thing is a means to an end, and without it, what it helps. I'm trying to avoid words. What it helps with, if I don't have those things, I cannot do my job, as it stands in the year of our Lord 2025 and beyond.
Okay.
And that's
is it an electronic item?
Yes. It's related to. It is in the electronic family, let's say.
Electronic family. Okay. Okay. So I got one more question.
One more question, then your guess.
Does it have its own battery?
It does. This thing does not have its own battery.
Okay.
It is related to the health of batteries, but it in and of itself, the particular item in my brain, does not have a battery inside of this of it. I know. You're gonna hate it. You're gonna hate it. All right, here's your guess. Go.
Okay. Is it a mini fridge?
No.
Ah!
It is a cell phone charging cable.
Oh, of course. No, that totally.
Right?
I was so close.
You need it to power the device.
Close.
You need, but it charges the battery.
They're gonna ask for it, and you're never gonna get it back.
Literally all the time. I have kids that are like, "Can I charge my phone in here?"
What was I thinking? Oh
man.
No.
All right. You ready?
Okay, hold on. Wait a second. And now, okay, so what is this something that every youth pastor has in their office?
Something that's common in most youth workers' offices, like a related, Don't be like a signed photo of Griffin's calves. Like only a very select few have those.
That's totally
which
fair.
I actually do have one in my.
That's not weird.
It was a freebie sometime for something for signing up for a thing on time. I don't know, man.
Okay, I got it. I got it.
Am I going down? That's not a question. That doesn't count. That doesn't count. No. All right. So before I start, real fast, would the room that you're sitting in right now, would that be considered your office? Is it used for anything else in your life?
No, this is my office. Yes.
Okay. So, and would you say it's pretty similar to former offices that you've had, as far as like the gadgets and the
yeah.
So, all that being said, none of those count.
No.
Apparently,
so all of those questions that you just asked, forget those. Okay.
Is it in your current room where you're sitting? One of what you're thinking of. I hate how much you're thinking about
I
this.
think so. I think I have one here somewhere. I don't know that I can put my hands on it. It's either here or it's in a storage
unit
tub thing
garage
down in our basement. Yeah.
Okay. Basements. I used to remember those. Okay.
Yeah, they're great. That's one.
That's one. Okay. Is it electronic?
No.
Two. Is it for the betterment of your mind and for learning?
For the betterment of whose mind and learning? Mine?
Yours.
As the youth pastor? No.
You couldn't learn from it at all? That's not a question. Never mind. Don't answer it. I don't want to use it. All right. Question 4. Is it for the betterment of students' minds and for their learning?
It should be.
Okay. It's not electronic, so it's probably a book. Is what you're thinking of a very specific, like, thing? Or is it general? Like if I said book, you'd be like, yes. Or is it like you're looking for every young man's battle?
Oh, right. Which, no, it would be more general. Which, if that's the book that you think, no.
Well, betterment.
Yeah.
It's general. Should be.
General,
it should be.
And I won't count that as a question. We've done 4.
Oh, okay.
I'll give you that.
That's
Yeah.
Grace. That is grace like the Lord. Mm-hmm. Okay, so for the betterment of learning, is it paper based?
Yes.
Is it consumable? Like they use it and then it's done and over.
Yes.
Can you buy it at like Staples, Walmart, Office Depot?
You can buy it in an unaltered state, but by the time I'm talking about it, it has been altered.
Oh man!
So that is 7.
Yeah, and I thought I whittled it down, and then the way you answered that, I'm like, there's no way I'm right. And so I'm just gonna stick with my gut, and I know it's probably gonna be a no. I was thinking it's like a journal.
Ooh, okay, so you're
like
close.
A prayer journal or something, you know?
You're close, but I'm gonna say no.
Okay.
What I've got is the handouts that you give students for the lesson. That instead of filling them out, they draw either inappropriate images on them, or they write
or just doodle
stupid
like
things,
crazy.
and or they draw pictures of you instead of, and so I would go around at the end of the lesson each night, and I would just collect any of the ones that were just like, well, that kid wasn't paying attention. And keep them.
So what you're saying is you don't know if you have any handouts, any former handouts in your current home office setup.
Not in my current home. I believe any of them that I would have would be downstairs in the basement somewhere.
Which impressive that you'd keep those, because those are just
because because there were some. I mean, I'd say like 99% of them go in the trash, but there are some that are just like, what was this kid doing? Yeah. There was a point. I finally just started adding a box on the back that was like literally like, hey, if you're not going to pay attention, draw a picture of me. Like draw a picture of me and leave it on the chair.
Did you keep any that were like meaningful spiritually, or did you only keep funny ones?
Only funny. Yeah, only funny and or inappropriate.
Because let's be honest, hopefully, if they were meaningful, that meant they took them home.
They took them home and put them in their own binder, which they now cherish for years and years and years.
Years to come.
They will show their own children.
All right, Josh, let's round the longest Meet the Team call out with some rapid fire would you rather questions.
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Question number 1. Would you rather preach a Sunday sermon or have to teach a preschool Sunday school class for a month in a row?
Sunday sermon, without a question.
Yeah.
Not even. Yeah.
Yep, I agree. Okay. Would you rather have to set up 100 folding chairs or patch a hole in the drywall?
100 folding chairs, I think.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
That's very time consuming of you. Would you rather lead worship with a kazoo or have to mime your pastor's entire sermon?
Does he know I'm doing this?
I don't know. You decide the rules.
I will mime the pastor's sermon. That would be like, I mean, and not like as an offensive, like I'm pretending like I know American Sign Language. That would be horrific. But, like mime. No. We're not. Yeah, you're not doing sign language. No, I'm totally down. Yeah. Mime
and let me tell you, you will leave that sermon with a better understanding of what he talked about than most days.
And so will everyone else. Like, that's the thing. Like, I remember that.
That's hilarious. Okay, 2 more. Would you rather deal with the kid who's stuck in a baptistry or deal with a pulled fire alarm during service?
How do you get stuck in a baptistry?
I don't know, but this kid's stuck.
I'm going to go pulled fire alarm because I have dealt with that on a number of occasions.
And that's pretty easy, right? Just like, hey, sorry, it was an accident.
Yeah, they're good.
And they're like, don't let it happen again.
And then they start charging you.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah, I worked at a church one time where like the number of times that the like security thing was tripped and then the police were called, we got a certain number of like grace, and then after that we got like charged. So we'd get like emails, be like, someone else didn't do the thing right, and so we're down to only 4 free ones. Like
my punishment for that was because like the wind would knock a door open if it was unlocked. My punishment was that they finally just put me as the first call. And I was like, I don't. I will.
That'll do right there.
I will lock that door every time.
All right, last one. Would you rather attend 10 committee meetings during the course of 1 week, or have to chaperone an overnight middle school lock-in? That's tough, isn't it?
Yeah, that's way more difficult than I thought it would be. I'm gonna say 10 committee meetings, man. I mean, because I feel like between the 10 committee meetings and the middle school lock-in, there's gonna be the same number of tiers. So I'm like, might as well. Yeah,
one is like a brutal week, right?
Yeah.
But theoretically, you're in bed at normal hours.
Yes.
The other is one horrible night.
And the smells. The smell
and a terrible
would be very
next
different.
day.
Yeah.
You don't get the next day. Like, it's gone. Your weekend's gone. So
for sure. Yeah, I take the committee meetings.
But 10 in 1 week, like, I don't even really know how you schedule that, because they're usually after dinner with volunteers. You got to be doing double duty all 5 work days. But that's your choice. So you're riding with it. Hey everyone, now you know all there is to know about Josh Boldman, or at least some. So Josh, thanks for being on here. It's super fun.
Thank you.
We'll see you all next time. Bye everyone.
Later.